Hello, everyone. Gatesy from Forged from Iron. We're doing the tier list again. In the hot seat, replacing David Moyes in the summer, is Ben Gates, my younger brother. How are you, sir?
Oh, on top of the world, mate. Good.
Good to hear it. Good to hear it. It's good to be a West Ham fan at the minute, isn't it?
Oh, mate. Yeah, it's probably one of the best times in my lifetime. But I was a little bit disappointed the other night. I got quite used to being fourth. So a couple of those results, and we slipped down to sixth. I was like, can't we? I got quite used to it. So, but look, mate, I think we got it's just a shame that the fans aren't there to see us having such a great season. We've got real top players, a good manager, good team spirit, and I'd like to think that this won't be a one-season wonder. I think with Moyes' experience and what his plans are, that we can establish ourselves up at the top of that league.
I agree. I think he's both him and Declan Rice, for me, they've both been instrumental in, it seems to me, changing the mindset of the club, not just the players, but it just seems that the whole movement it's moving in the right direction. I really do think that this could be the start of something. Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
fingers crossed. So, but got to go out and do the bizzo on Monday evening against Marcelo Bielsa's Leeds. If we can pick up the 3 points, and if results go our way, I believe we could go back up to fourth again.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I like Leeds. I like watching Leeds. I've always liked watching Bielsa's teams. I mean, I remember going back to a game that just sticks in my mind is when Atletico Bilbao went to Old Trafford and they taught Man United a footballing lesson. They just toyed with them and passed around them. And then Bielsa done that when he was Chile manager against England as well. You had players playing for Chile that played for like Cardiff, but when he got them in that Chile international team, they were like Paolo Maldini. Like we couldn't, he just sets up his teams to play really expansive, exciting football, and that sometimes means they're quite open to play against, but it makes for a good spectacle. So I'm looking forward to the game on Monday, and hopefully, we can do a job on them.
Yeah, they kind of remind me, and I've said this to a few people, they kind of remind me of Newcastle United under Kevin Keegan in the early mid-90s.
Yeah.
They're quite, as you say, they're great on the eye. If you were a neutral and you had a few quid in your pocket and you were looking to sort of like go and watch a team, get a little bit of entertainment, they'd be one of the first teams you'd go and sort of pay money to watch. However, as you say, they are quite open, and if you've got a little bit of defensive strategy, a little bit of defensive knowledge, and you can, counter quickly and effectively, then I think that could reap dividends. And that's the way we've been playing this season. So,
and I'm not being funny, mate. Even though they play good football, I have to say, I think when we beat them at their ground this season, that was one of my favourite performances from us, because I think we were the better side. We created loads of chances. Ben Rama had a great game. He was pulling the strings. So, I'm hopeful. I'd like to see Ben Rama back in the starting 11 personally, because I want to see him break his duck and nick a goal for us.
Yeah. No, I think a lot of people are hoping that Ben Rama can come good. I think this season, I think we needed to be patient and sort of allow him this season to acclimatise, assimilate into the collective. I think next season's the make or break one for me. I think if he can sort of really attack it and get that slice of luck to get that first goal, I'd like to get him to get the first goal this season rather than into next, because I think then the pressure builds a little bit more. If he can get that first goal sort of duck broken, then I think he could be off and running. It could be Carlos Tevez all over again, in the sense that once he gets the goal, he scores, not in the sense that he buggers off at the end of the season. So Before we get into the nuts and bolts of this, my friend, my usual shout out. I make no apologies for this. It's all for a good cause. Isla Caton, Isla's Army. Need your help. If you're watching this and you've got a couple of quid in your pocket, and you can help this young lady who is in urgent need of assistance, medical attention, and all the rest of it. She is fighting neuroblastoma, which is a cancer that is particularly prevalent in children. There is no treatment for it on the NHS. Her family have got to put their lives on hold and travel around to Barcelona, the United States, wherever it is that the treatment is available. They've got to go there, which at the best of times is expensive. Doing it in the middle of a pandemic must be absolute hell on earth. They need your support. They need your any spare change you've got. And even if you don't, if you could just share this video, get the message out there, get some awareness going. It would every little bit helps, and so I would really appreciate it, and so would Isla and Isla's family. Thank you very much for listening. So, moving swiftly along. So we have the tier list. Now, to break it down, West Ham United have, according to Wikipedia, 38 first-team players. I have got 5 categories for each of these players to go into, and they range from at the top, long-term future, basically meaning 3 seasons or more into the future, 1 or 2 seasons, star of tomorrow, not sure, and see ya are the 5 categories that you can choose from as David Moyes' interim replacement in the summer for 5 minutes. So we're going to start.
I'll tell you what, Rob.
Yep.
Sorry to interject, mate. I'll tell you now. I'll probably only use 4 of those categories because, for me, I'm sure of everyone. Do you get what I'm saying? I either want to keep them or ship them out. So I don't think I'll have anyone in the not sure category.
No, that's fine. Not a problem at all. So we're going to go alphabetically to begin with, but then at a certain point, I am going to deviate, and there is a reason for this, which will become apparent at the end. So if you're thinking of moving away, don't do it because you'll miss the plot twist. So, first one on the list, alphabetically, is Oladapo Afolayan. Scored goal in the cup against Doncaster. Easy
for you to say. Do you know what? I obviously I don't know loads about this kid. He come on and nicked a goal and looked lively in that game. I can't think who that was against, Rob. Who was that?
It was Doncaster.
Doncaster. So look, do you know what? I don't think he's that young. I think he's actually like 22. He's 23 years old, mate. You know, he's not a kid. So I think if at 23 he hasn't done anything in really senior football, you know, in terms of putting a run of games together, then I don't think he's not going to cut the mustard at a Premier League side. So I'd have to say, wish the lad all the best, but he's in the senior category for me.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly fair. I completely get that. Yes, he's 23 years of age. We signed him from Solihull Moors. At this precise moment in time, to the best of my recollection, he is on loan at Bolton. Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Yes, he's on loan at Bolton. So, yeah, you do kind of think at 23 years of age, if you haven't made it by that time, then your chances are probably quite limited. So, that's a fair comment.
You know, I think if he's at Bolton in League One now.
Yes.
You know, so if he's doing well there, that's probably his level at the moment. He might develop into maybe a Championship player, but you know, if we could nick a couple of quid for him, even if it was 100 grand, I think that from a business point of view, you'd take it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I completely get that. So next one on the list is Tunji Akinola, currently on loan at Leyton Orient.
Yeah, again, you know, he's one of them that he's been around in the youth and reserve teams for a long time. And I think he's meant to be doing all right at Leyton Orient. But again, I mean, I don't know how old he is. I think he's not. Do you know how old he is, Rob? I think he's got to be sort of.
I can
I
soon
don't think he's
find
in his
out by the.
team.
He is 22.
This is what I'm saying. Like, and don't get me wrong. You know, centre halves, they mature later in life. I'd be inclined to keep him, potentially keep him. Actually, let's see how he gets on for the rest of the season on loan at Leyton Orient. Assess it in the summer. But I've put my neck on the line, so I wouldn't say not sure. And on the second one, I'm probably going to change my mind.
That's fine. I mean, you got. I guess you could. To say is he a star of tomorrow would probably be at 22. He's 23 in November, so I think the star of tomorrow. That ship has probably set sail. He's either going to be 1 or 2 seasons or not sure. From what you're saying, isn't he?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, mate. I think I've changed. Say see ya. I don't think he's going to cut him off.
Brutal.
He's not going to cut it. Good luck to the kid. But listen, if we want to be challenging at, like I say, the top 6 in the Premier League, and if there's a 22-year-old lad that's only just playing senior football in League 2, then the chances are he's not good enough for us at the moment. So wish him the best. But see you later, me old mate.
Yeah. I think that's entirely fair. Entirely fair. So the next player on the hit list, another player that's out on loan is Aji Alese. And before you ask the question, I'll answer it. He's 20 years of age.
Okay. Well, where's he on loan, Rob? I didn't know he was out on loan, actually.
He is currently out on loan at Cambridge United.
Right. What league are they in?
I believe they're League 2 as well, I think.
Right. Well, do you know what?
Yes, they are. They're League 2.
I've followed this kid's career a little bit at youth level because he seems to be quite highly regarded, not only at West Ham but for England as well. Like I think he's been like England captain at a couple of different age levels, like under 16, under 17. You know, so I definitely think he's one for the future. Like I say, he's younger than the other 2 we've just mentioned. He's highly thought of within the club, I think. I would have to say, because he did play against Hull, didn't he, in the League Cup?
Yes, he did. He played the full 90 minutes of the 5-1 third round victory.
And I've got to be honest. Listen, it's his debut. He looked a little bit. He didn't look aggressive enough. You know, he looked like he didn't. From recollection, the Hull, even though we battered Hull, and it was a fairly comfortable game. I remember the Hull striker winning quite a lot in the air up against that Alese, and I was thinking, come on, mate, you got to be more aggressive than that because he's a big lump. So I would put him in the one for the future. I'd give him another couple of years just to suss it out.
Yep.
And look, you know, I think the strategy for him would be he needs to try and get a loan to a championship club to try and see if he can cut his teeth there, toughen himself up a bit, and then maybe come into our first team.
Well, funnily enough, you say about going out on loan. When I did the interview last night that I uploaded this afternoon onto the YouTube channel, and if anyone's listening and saying, "Oh, YouTube channel, yeah, please subscribe, hit the bell icon," you know the drill. But yeah, James Fever, Fatboy 16. I interviewed him yesterday, and this was the common theme. You know, there's a load of players that, quite frankly, need to be going out on loan because I think there comes a point when they can't learn anymore playing at under 23 level. They can learn so much more playing against, even if it's League 2, playing against seasoned, battle-hardened, professional men. If they played 20 games in League 2, 20 games in League 1, 20 games in Championship, whatever level it is, they will get more at doing that than they would playing 100 games of under 23s for me. And you look at Chelsea, they've got sort of like loads of kids, and they've got them out on loan here, there, and everywhere. Vitesse Arnhem, they farm them out there, get the experience, or this, that, and the other. Obviously, when Frank Lampard was at Derby, there was a couple that went there, Mason Mount, and who was the other one? Fikayo Tomori went there. And I think we need to be doing that. We need to be getting more of these kids out there and getting minutes under their belt. Absolutely. Is that the players? Is that the club? Who knows? But we move on. So the next one, guy that we purchased in the January transfer window, Frederick Alves.
Oh, mate, I'll be short and sweet on this lad, because I've never seen him play a minute of football. You know, so the fact that we've just bought him, he's a young lad. Whack him in Stars of Tomorrow as well.
Yep, I think that's entirely fair. So we got him in the Stars of Tomorrow category.
I can't really call that one.
Yeah, it is kind of difficult, isn't it? I mean, he's been here not even 2 months yet, but not full 2 months, maybe just now. But it's quite difficult to judge him. But he's in there, so he's part of the collective. So we got to put him in. So now this is quite a polarizing character, I find. Felipe Anderson.
Well, I absolutely know what I'd do with him, and that's get rid. You know, I think obviously he showed ability in his first season, but I actually don't think he's cut out for Premier League football, because you know there's been quite a few games. If he gets a whack, if someone puts it on him, gives him a kick, he don't want to know. You know, he's a luxury player. And we can't afford any passengers in our team. So Moyes clocked that pretty soon. He knew that, you know, you can't really rely on him to perform, and you're best off, you know, parting ways. Unfortunately, we're going to take a massive hit on what we paid for him.
Oh,
because I reckon, you know, I don't think he's getting. I mean, he got a loan to Porto, like fair play. Whoever's his agent has pulled a few strings there. I mean, he can't get in our team. He's got to move to Porto, but I don't think he's getting much game time there either.
He has had in this calendar year 2 appearances in all competitions, the last of which came at the beginning of February and lasted 57 minutes.
Yeah.
Tells you all you need to know.
It looks to me, it's like he's lost his hunger for the game. Like he just gets on the pitch and strolls about and don't do nothing really. So I think, unfortunately, a bit like Lingard in terms of his loan to us. If Anderson's loan to Porto worked out really well when he played well, that meant we might get more for him. But it's probably we'd be lucky to get
direction, isn't it?
Yeah, we'd be lucky to get 15, 20 million for him, which is less than half what we paid.
Yeah. Another one that we're going to look at and go, yeah, brilliant, well done, fantastic.
I've got to be honest, mate. I've got to be honest. I just think, you know, you reflect on Pellegrini's big money buys, and I think they're personally, I don't think you'd be hard pressed to say any of them have really worked out. Diop might be the only one that you'd say, yeah, he's done all right, but he's not really set the world alight, in my opinion, either.
Well, the only one that I can really say I think has been a success for definite, and whether you'd say it was one of his big money signings, I would say it wasn't one of his big money signings, but it was a big money for the position that he's in for us, was Lucas Fabianski. It's the only one that's really, you know, been in the position and made it his own and has not been challenged, whereas everybody else has fallen by the wayside. Now, I get that he's a goalkeeper, so maybe the level of competition maybe isn't as much as if you're a defender or a midfielder or whatever, but he's still come in and he's the undisputed number one. And, you know,
absolutely. Fabianski's definitely been a success in my opinion, but, you know, I'm talking about people that, you know, we've spent 30, 40 million quid on.
Yeah, I know it was 7 million, but yeah, it's a different thing. I get that. But, you know, as I say, it's 7 million quid for us in our history on a goalkeeper. Relatively speaking, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, Right, so moving swiftly along, the next one on the list is Michail Antonio.
Oh, mate. Well, I think that you can only really put him in one, maybe two categories, but I think probably 1 or 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's probably 30 now, is he? Oh,
He is
Mickey.
indeed. Yep. No,
Yeah,
he's 30 years of age as of right now.
And look, I think he's probably, over the last year.
In fact, if I may just interject, he turns 31 this month. He's the 28th of March.
Well, look, I think his best football has been in the last year. You know what I mean? So there's no, other than the fact that he's hamstrings and you've got to manage him carefully. He's been brilliant in the last year, and he's a mass. When he's not around, we're a lesser team. So yeah, obviously, great player, in the best form of his career, and hopefully he can stay fit and be part of a successful West Ham team over the next few years.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a shame that we didn't get another striker in, because he could have either played with that striker or been rotated with that striker. Either way, it takes a little bit of the burden off of him in terms of the running that he's going to have to do, which then puts pressure on a part of his body that we know is susceptible to injury, his hamstrings. So
that's probably for another day, isn't it? In terms of getting who we want to get in the summer. No doubt, we all want to get a top striker in and compete with old Mickey up top or play with. So, all right, who's next?
Harrison Ashby.
Star of tomorrow for me. I've only seen the lad once, but that was in that whole game as well.
Yep.
Mate, he was quick. He was like a modern day fullback. He was getting up, supporting the attacks. He looked quite a good talent, but I think he got injured.
Yes, I think he did.
I think he's out injured at the moment. But again, keep him in around the first team and maybe a loan to lower level.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of potential there. He's the son of Barry Ashby, as I remember, the former Watford and Gillingham player.
Yeah, I've heard that. So I like the look of the kid. So yeah, let's keep him around, nurture him, and hopefully he can get into the first team squad.
Absolutely. Fabian Balbuena.
Now, this is an interesting one, actually, because he's actually out of contract in the summer.
He is.
And I like him. I like him. I mean, he'd formed a good partnership with Ogbonna at the back with Cresswell in that three. And then I think he got injured for a couple of weeks, nothing major. And Dawson's come in. And Dawson's form means that Balbuena's not got back in. And then when Ogbonna's got injured, Diop's got in. But I do like Balbuena. It's just whether he's worthy of another contract. Personally, I don't reckon he will sign a new contract.
I think he's already turned around and said to the club that he's not going to sign.
Oh, really?
So that's my understanding.
Right. Well, you would think, I'm not being funny, you would think if he was going to sign a new deal, he would have done it by now. So,
yeah.
Okay, on that basis, we'll say see ya and wish him all the best. I think he's done a decent job for us. And if it was my choice, I would have him in the starting lineup over Diop at the moment. But if we're talking about in the summer, let's clear old Balbuena out then.
Yeah, no, I think that's entirely fair, mate. Okay, next on the list, player with a lot of potential, I think. A lot of good things been spoken about. Jamal Baptiste.
Yeah, I mean, he's again, highly thought of at club and country. And, he's very young. I think that just what we need to do with this kid is that he doesn't turn into another Reece Oxford.
Yeah.
But, that he, for whatever reason, he gets pushed in and he's not quite right. And, I err on the side of caution with these youth team, whiz kids, because we've seen it before.
Yeah.
With Reece Oxford. So yeah, definitely keep him in and around as he's a star for the future.
Star for the future, no problem.
Well, I've just got to put my laptop on charge.
That's fine, not a problem.
So,
not a problem. So I'm just going to fill in a little bit of this dead time here, ladies and gentlemen, by just again, whilst my younger brother goes and gets a laptop charger, again, asking you, imploring you to consider putting your hand in your pocket for this very worthwhile cause, Isla's Army. If you don't know the story and you're joining us late, Isla Caton, 6-year-old girl, she has neuroblastoma, which is a cancer that has no treatment in this country on the NHS. Her family basically need to put their entire life on hold and cart this poor little girl with this very, very deadly illness, this horrible disease, wherever the treatment is available. Barcelona, in Spain, obviously, the United States, wherever, because she can't get the treatment she needs to save her life in this country. So if you're watching this, if you've got any spare change in your pocket, you've got a PayPal account there, you've got a Just Giving page, I would implore you to consider giving as generously as you can. And if you can't, then I would ask you to share this video to try and raise a little bit of awareness and try and help this poor little girl and help this family in their hour of need. My brother has returned, thank goodness. So no, that's fine. That's fine. Not a problem. Okay, so next on the list, Saeed Benrahma. Now, before you answer this, I know that this is a player that you have rated very highly for probably the last 2 years. And you were banging on about this player when he was at Brentford. And you said to me, he's way too good for Brentford. He's a Premier League player. And I remember when we signed him, you was really excited about him.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts now?
Mate. Absolutely. And I'm still of the same opinion, mate. I think I've got to be honest, when he was at Brentford, I didn't think we would get him. I thought one of the top clubs is going to want this kid. And I never actually thought he was a realistic prospect for us to buy him. And when we did, I was over the moon because, mate, he looked like Lionel Messi in the Championship. But like people couldn't get near him. He was scoring hat tricks. It was like men against boys when he was playing there. And obviously that hasn't been the case in the Premier League. But I think when he has started the game, he's always been one of our best players. He's had quite a few assists and he's changed games. Like we was just talking off air and think, this will be a bit of a bedding in season for him. But I'm still optimistic that in this next 12 games, he can make a real contribution. So definitely long-term future for me, for old Benny. I like him. He works hard. And I think he's just got that little bit of X factor that no one else in our squad has got. I think he's got that ability to unlock a tight defence. So Benny. I hope he hangs around for a long time.
Yeah, no, I think he's someone that, as I say, I think this season I think we've got to give him this season a little bit of leeway, got to give him a little bit of time to adapt, to adjust, because the jump from Championship to Premier League, it's an absolutely massive leap. I know sort of like people think that, well, it's only one division, surely it's not that big a chasm. Oh, it's massive, absolutely massive. And some players can bridge that gap easier than others. And he's taking his time, but I think we need to give him, we've spent 25 million on the guy. We need to give him a little bit of time, a little bit of space to adapt, and I'm sure he'll come good.
Absolutely, and the thing is, that's a position in our squad that is actually quite competitive. You know, that attacking midfield position. You know, I thought we was pretty well stocked there anyway, and then we got Lingard in as well. So you've got, in my opinion, you've got like Fornals, Bowen, Benrahma, and Lingard all fighting out for 2 spots, and it's a nice bit of healthy competition to have. And I think if we do get into Europe, we're going to need that level of squad, but for the amount of games we'll be playing. Do you know what I'm saying? So
squad depth,
But Benrahma's mustard, mate. I think a lot of him.
Yeah, I know you're a big fan. As I say, I know you sort of said a good 2 years ago, so it was no surprise to me when it was a surprise to me when he came in, but it was no surprise that he was a player that you rated. So next player, Jarrod Bowen, another player that come up from the Championship.
Yes, mate. And look, I've been a little bit critical of Bowen recently, and just because I think he is a really talented player, and he's not really. I think his form's dipped a little bit in the last 10 games. I would say that I've seen him. That I think he's not really doing enough to keep those 3 that I've just mentioned: Lingard, Bowen, Lingard, Benrahma, and Fornals. I think they're actually contributing a little bit more at the moment. But look, there's nothing I like better than seeing a young English talent come from the Championship like that. You know, that would be my number 1 recruitment policy, is that we want to be looking at the lower leagues and giving this young talent a chance. So you know, I like Bowen. He's got a lot of raw ability. I think he just needs to improve his decision making, when to shoot, when to pass. But I'd like to think he's definitely got a long-term future at us. So let's keep him long-term.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, and I've said this to a couple of the lads that I've been interviewing, as I say, James, and by the time your interview goes out, so the other interview will have gone out. I interviewed Baz Cox just a little bit earlier, and that interview is going to be uploaded on the YouTube channel tomorrow. And by the time this goes out, it will be yesterday, if that makes sense. I mean, playing devil's advocate, the one thing I sort of turned around and said is that, because it came out in the last month or so, that he's got some medical issue, some health issue. I'm not too sure of all the ins and outs. That could possibly be impacting on his performance, and that's fair enough. But the one thing I will say is that it doesn't impact on his ability to get his head up and see what's going on around him, which I think is an entirely fair, constructive criticism to make. You know, I agree with you. You know, he does seem to shoot when he should pass. He does seem to pass when he should shoot. If he can sort that out, I think we got a fantastic player. So, so where's he going, Ben? He's going in your long-term future.
Yeah. Well, yes, he would, mate. Yeah. You know, like I say, although people might think this is harsh, I think the jury is still out on him a little bit as being a top Premier League player. So yeah, hopefully he can get back to the form that he had at the beginning of the season. You know what I mean? And really start influencing games. And look, he's in a position where he needs to be either scoring goals or making assists. And like I say, I think the other 3 are doing that a little bit better at the minute. So, but I'm confident that he will come good.
Good. Next player on the list, a player I think a lot of people have probably forgotten about, Gonzalo Caldo.
Mate, not seen much of him, but I think he's not even really. It seems some of the younger centre halves are ahead of him in the queue. So, you know, I don't think he's going to cut it. I'd probably get rid if I'm honest.
He's 20 years of age at the time that we're recording this, and he is currently on loan at Basel.
Really? I didn't realise that. But I mean, they're a good team. although we've farmed him
Although
out to the
he's
Swiss
only
league.
played three appearances since he went there, but in fairness, he only went there on the 30th of January. But I kind of would have expected maybe for him to have played a bit more. He went there on the 30th of Jan this year on an 18-month loan deal, and they have an option to buy. So, but he's only played 3 games thus far. So, yeah, I'm not too sure.
He's not a Moyes signing, is he? I think
Pellegrini.
So I think good luck, Gonzalo, but I don't think you're going to make it, my old mate.
So he is in the sea pile.
See you later, alligator.
In a wild crocodile. All good. So moving on to the next one on the list, Vladimir Coufal.
Well, it would only be in the top 2. Obviously, he's come in, done a really good job. He's just a solid, dependable right back. Or obviously, he can play right wing back. He reminds me a little bit like a Gary Neville. Do you know what I mean? He's just a consistent performer, a professional. And what I like about him and Sochek is they've got a winning mentality. They're used to challenging for the title, and that is good. You know what I mean? I think that's rubbing off on our team.
Yep.
And they're from that Eastern European where they'll just run all day long. They'll run for a brick wall, and they just love the game. So I would say, I think he's 28, isn't he?
Yes, I'm fairly sure that he is 28. Yes, he's 28. He turns 29 on the 22nd of August.
Well, let's say I'd say long-term future. I think he's got well over 2 seasons in him. So let's keep old Vladimir about. I like him a lot.
I thought last week against Manchester City, when the final whistle went, he looked absolutely dejected. He was down on his haunches. He was head in his hands. And to be honest with you, Ben, that is what I want to see when we lose. I don't want to see, players going, smiling and sort of like shaking hands. Oh, how you doing, mate? Going anywhere nice for your holidays? Blah, blah, blah. You've just lost a game of Premier League football when you're in the top 4, gunning for the European places, possibly Champions League. You've just lost a game that you possibly could have got a draw in. Maybe on another day, might have even won it. And to see him like that, all right. You don't want to see a man sort of or anyone in distress, but that's exactly what we want. We want players with that winner's mentality and not just prepared to accept second best. That's what we want.
Yeah. So, no, totally agree, mate. Yeah, he's him and his checkmate they've been massive. The
potato salad brothers.
Yeah, mate, give them all the potato salad they want.
Absolutely. Next on the hit list, Connor Coventry.
Well, I really highly rate this kid. I mean, I think he's Ireland under 21 captain, is it? Or he's definitely when some of the clips I've seen at sort of reserve level, he scored some screamers. He's got a good shot on him. He looks to me that he could be Noble's replacement. Do you know what I mean? So I think he's long-term future. He's either that or star of tomorrow. But I think long-term future. I really rate this kid, and it's disappointing because there was a couple of games that we had, I think, in like the League Cup that he definitely would have played, but he was injured. But I know he's in and around the first team squad, and he might need a loan at Championship level. But if we do get into Europe, whether that's the Europa League or the Champions League, who knows? You know what I mean? We're dreaming, but there's going to be a lot of games. So I'd probably keep Connor and say he'll get hopefully 10 to 20 games next season, and that could just be cups and a little bit of the league if needed.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think really he should have gone out on loan either at the beginning of this season or in the January transfer window, and
Yeah.
again get him playing against seasoned professionals. The men's game, and then we'll see what he's all about. If he can hack it in League One, if he can hack it in the Championship, then maybe just maybe he can hack it in the Premier League. But if yeah, what's he learning in the under 23s? Probably not an awful lot. So I agree with you. I think he needed to go out on loan for his career development. And then, like you say, next season, challenging the guys in midfield and sort of like seeing what he's all about.
The thing is, though, Rob, I do kind of agree with you about him going out on loan. But I do actually think, well, Rice and Sochek are pretty much ever present this season, aren't they?
Yeah.
All it takes is an injury or two to one of them, and
Yep.
I actually think Coventry's in the team. Do you know what I mean? So
Okay.
Moyes might be thinking, because we did have a bit of a clear out in that department in the summer,
Yep.
or at last season. Wilshere went, Carlos Sanchez went, and Cullen went, and that made me think, well, the only reason they'd let Cullen go, especially, and the other two, is because they rate Coventry so highly, which I think they do. So, he's not, obviously sitting on the bench is not doing them any good, but I do actually think we need him. So, look, let's see. But I definitely want to see this kid have a long-term future at West Ham.
Yeah, I agree. Next on the list, Aaron Cresswell, this season's Cinderella man.
Ah, mate, I'm really pleased for Cress because last season he was getting a lot of stick from our fans on social media and all that. And yeah, granted, I'd say his form wasn't great, but he's been such a great servant to the club. And I think all it was, he's getting older. I think he can't get up and down that wing like one of these young modern fullbacks. And that's what we was asking him to do, and he couldn't do it. But I just think he's adapted his game this season, and I think he's been brilliant. You know what I mean? His delivery's spot on. And I think I mentioned this before. I mean, in terms of stats, I know they can paint a, not for a picture sometimes, but he's the highest scoring defender on the Fantasy Premier League.
Yep.
And that is, there's some top quality defenders in the Premier League, and he's number one. So he's probably not got too many more years left in him, but I'd put him in the season or two.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Here's something for you, because James mentioned it when I interviewed him. Was it James or was it Baz? I'm trying to remember now. Actually, no, it was Baz. I'm sure it was. He turned around and said that he thought that the reason that Cresswell maybe suffered a dip in his performance levels was because he had Felipe Anderson in front of him.
Yeah, no, you could be right, mate. Yeah, that's not a bad shout. I never really thought.
So the fact, I mean, maybe he's slowed down a touch, and that coupled with the fact that you've got a left winger playing in front of you that, as far as defending is concerned, wasn't really interested. Probably it was a bit of a double whammy. Do you know what I mean? Whereas this season, all right, maybe his pace is still the same as it was last season, but it's less noticeable because he's got a guy sitting in front of him this season in Pablo Fornals that's protecting him a lot better.
Yeah. And not only that, like I say, I think he's playing in depending on what formation we play, he's been playing in a centre half when he's done well there. But even if he's playing left back, we've got a better team shape, like you've just said, that he doesn't have to bomb forward all the time. So that's cool. All right, mate. Cresswell.
Next one. Now, this isn't technically our player, but you've got a decision to make, Moisey. Craig Dawson.
Mate, I'm so pleased for this lad, because what I didn't like, I think a lot of our fan base, they were mugging him off when we bought him. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, why are we buying this bloke? He's crap, he's this, he's that. But when I was looking at it and I was thinking, hold on, this is a guy who's coming into his prime as a centre half. Yeah. And because he hasn't got a fancy name and he's not, I don't know, the in vogue or, African centre half that you're going to spend 20 million, 30 million, or, he don't look the part. But, mate, he is a solid centre half. And when I'm watching him, his passing's actually better than you think. You know what I mean? He gets the ball out of his feet and bang, he puts a quick pass to get the moves going. So, mate, I'm going to say long-term future. I don't see a reason why, he's an experienced Premier League centre half, and I'm not saying he's, first name on the team sheet, but he's definitely, in my mind, he's definitely worthy of his place in the starting 11. So I'd like to see Dawson join permanently and stay with us for a good few years.
Yeah, no, I think good shout. Issa Diop.
Yeah. See, this is. I just listen. I think he's a decent player.
He's a Marmite character. I said to a few of the other people that I've interviewed. I think you either love him or you hate him, don't you?
Yeah,
I don't think there's an in between.
It's just I don't trust him. I think he's prone to a lapse of concentration, and I do actually think it all depends, doesn't it? If Balbuena's not signing a new contract and he's going,
well, he's already in your senior pile. Yep.
Yeah. Although I'd keep him. Yeah, I probably would keep him, but I've got to be honest. If someone offered 30 million quid for him, I'd have it all day long, and I'd think you could get a couple of decent players with that money. So, mate, I've changed my mind again. Get rid of him.
Get rid. Okay.
I'd flog him, mate. Like I say, I think there's better centre halves out there that we could buy.
For 1 minute, I thought you were going to put him into 1 or 2 seasons and say, "I tell you what, Issa, I'm going to extend your contract by 12 months, but if at the end of that, then you're out the door, and I'm going to get the money in." But you've just binned him.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah. This is a ruthless game. So I'm sorry, mate. He's been here what, 2 or 3 seasons?
This is his 3rd season. Yeah, he had 2 seasons.
I know he's still a young fella in the scheme of things, but if I'm still not sure about this lad 3 years down the line, then I think that tells me that he's not up to it. And listen, you've got Dawson that's come in. Dawson takes charge. He's aggressive. You know what I mean? And I think, and Dawson doesn't see, it comes with experience. I get that, but Dawson doesn't seem to have that lapse of concentration or that leads to a mistake that leads to a goal. Whereas I do think Diop can be prone to that. So see you later, Issa. Thanks for your time, but it's time to move on, my old mucker.
Fair enough. All good. Lucas Fabianski.
Now, I did actually watch a little bit of Duke's one last night, and I was quite surprised that I think Fabianski was in his senior par, wasn't he?
I
think he was.
He was. As I say, this is now the 4th interview that I've done on this, so it gets a little bit confusing while one blurs into another. But you're probably right.
Well, look, right. I think Fab's 35, isn't he?
Yes, I do believe he is 35 years of age as of right now. He turns 36 on during the course of next month, the 18th of April.
Well, look, I think regardless of his age, he's not showing any signs of that his age is affecting his performances. I actually think the last 10 games he's been really good. So I think give him another 1 or 2 seasons. Like the goalkeeping area, it's one of them. Do you buy someone in the summer? but I'm not sure that we need to buy someone in the summer. I think maybe next, unless we really want and someone's available and we want to get him. But I've not seen anything in Fab's performances to say that he won't be number one next season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm led to believe that there is an option within the contract he signed when he came in to activate for an extra 12 months. I'm also heard other whispers that it's actually 2 years, an option. I think if it, either way, I would certainly at least give him an extra 12 months. I think, although I would, in conjunction with that, I think personally, I'd give him the extra 12 months, but say to him, look, we are going to be bringing in a younger goalkeeper that will be your long-term successor. And we're going to gradually, with the greatest of respect to you, we have to obviously think of the future for the club. We're going to gradually phase you out, gradually phase the other kid in, and that will be the way it works. And sort of like 12 months down the line, hopefully may even sort of like, if you're agreeable to it, maybe get you in as a goalkeeper coach somewhere.
Yeah, and I'm sure that Fabianski, he knows he's not getting any younger, and that we need to plan for the future. So that's it, mate. If there's a good goalie available in the summer that's in his mid-20s or something, you'd go for it, wouldn't you? But let's see who's available.
Well, I think I'll probably do another tier list in the summer of sort of possible replacements in certain positions, but we'll keep our powder dry on that one.
Yeah. All right, mate. Let's
crack on. Pablo Fornals.
Yeah, do you know what? He is another one that he does divide opinion, and I can see why, because he's, you cannot fault his work ethic. Yeah, he's a hard working player, but he's got a lot of ability. You know what I mean? I think when we bought him, he was like one of the players of the tournament, and I think it was like the European under-20 championship. And listen, you don't get in Spain's youth teams without having that good ability. And the thing is, he can be quite influential. You know what I mean? He will get an assist. He will nick a goal. So I definitely think he's definitely one for the long-term future. And I think, he's got a lot of ability, and he's only going to get better. So, definitely long-term future. He can play in a few different positions, either centrally or out wide. So, Pablo. And do you know what? I like his passion. Whenever we score, he's always going crazy. I think he really likes the club. So
he's really bought into it. Yeah, I like Pablo. I mean, I do think that he's kind of a victim of his work rate and all the rest of it, because I don't think, for me, he is a left midfielder. He's a number 10 all day long and twice on a Sunday. Problem is that you've got Jesse Lingard can play as a 10. You've got Saeed Benrahma that can play as a 10. And a player that we've yet to come to can play there. Lanzini can play as a 10. I mean, Anderson, if you wanted to bring him into the equation, Anderson could play as a 10. There's a lot of players that we have that could, probably their strongest position is a 10. But he's probably the one. He's probably the strongest in a defensive sense that we can put at left midfield to give Cresswell that little bit of protection. I think the other options that we could put at left midfield don't give Cresswell the protection that he would give. And that's the reason why he's in a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So on we move to Ryan Fredericks.
Well, again, that's a bit of a difficult one. I like Fredericks. He's never let us down. He's quick, which we don't have that much pace in the squad, if I'm honest.
Nope.
I'd keep Fredericks for the next couple of seasons. Say
in your 1 or 2 seasons pile.
1 or 2 seasons. I think our fullback positions are actually okay at the moment. You think you've got it. Ben Johnson's a right back, but he's comfortable on the left. So, at the minute, the first choices are Kufal and Cresswell, but then the backup options are Fredericks and Johnson can play either side. So, like you say, injuries, suspensions, and competition. I like Fredericks. Let's keep him around.
Yeah, all good. Now the next one's a guy that I know you are a big fan of him, but this is going to be a big question. Nathan Holland.
Yeah. Do you know what, mate? I think
he's been desperately unlucky with injuries. I've got to say that. But he's 22 now, I do believe.
Yeah, he's done quite well out on loan when he's been out on loan, and then he's come back and not quite. I mean, I'd still put him in a star of the future. Like you don't
really.
Okay. I do, yeah. I know he's 22, but I think when he has been out on loan, he's shown glimpses of promise, and I think he's got one last opportunity, and we've got to get him a loan out to a championship club. I mean, there's no point getting him out to League One level. Yeah, if no one's willing to take a punt on him at championship level, then there's probably telling you he's not going to quite cut it. But I still want to give this lad one last opportunity before writing him off.
Do you think maybe he goes in the 1 or 2 seasons category?
So when you say 1 or 2 seasons, what are you saying by that?
Well, in terms of that their future is only sort of like going to be, you can only see the next 1 or 2 seasons, and beyond that, it's either less clear or they're just simply they're not going to be here because of their age, something like that.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Put him in 1 or 2 seasons, I'd suggest.
Yeah. Because you could always revisit it the following season. If if you gave him that extra year and he was a success, then fine. You sort of keep him on a bit longer. If it doesn't work out, then you can turn around, like you say, you can turn around and go, okay, fine. Thank you very much. It hasn't worked out. There's the door.
Yeah.
So no problem. Next on the hit list, player you've just mentioned, Ben Johnson. Not the sprinter.
Mate,
do you know something? I didn't realise this, and this completely passed me by until very recently. He's the nephew of Paul Parker. I never knew that.
Paul Parker, and I think Ledley King he's related to as well.
Is he? Okay, I never knew that.
Yeah, so he's got a good bit of pedigree. Look, I like this kid, and I think I think his natural position is right back. Yeah, but he's quite versatile. He didn't have a good game against City last week, but listen, it's an experience. And the previous game that he did play, he was one of our best players,
Yes,
so
I agree.
We know that as a young player, there are going to be some ups and downs in terms of their performance level, but absolutely, mate, I love bringing youth talent through. There's nothing better. There's nothing better for me. I'd rather keep my money in my pocket and bring the player up through the youth team. That's the best feeling. So
you've got that little bit more of an emotional attachment. You've got that little bit more pride, haven't you? Sort of like, you could go out and spend 20, 30 million on a right back, left back, whatever. But if you've got a kid that you've nurtured from the age of, I think he's been at the club since he was 7. And you've nurtured and you've cultivated, sort of like the West Ham way is in his DNA.
Yeah.
And to have him stepping out onto the pitch in claret and blue, you're going to give him a lot. You've got a lot more emotional investment in this kid than you would in that 20, 30 million pound signing.
Yeah.
So long-term future?
Benny Johnson, long-term future.
Good to hear it. Good to hear it. The Academy of Football is alive and kicking.
Yeah,
so, Manuel Lanzini.
Do you know what, mate? He's going to have to be see you later, alligator, for Manuel. He's been a great servant. He's given us some great memories and goals, but he's just not the player he once was. And I think for his career and for the club, I think that, like I say, I think we've got some youngsters coming through that I'd rather have them on the bench coming on than Lanzini. He's not really offering much anymore. So I'd have to say I'd get shot if we get a reasonable offer.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think and I've said this to a couple of the lads that we've done this with. For me, since the injury, he has been half a yard, half a second behind where he used to be, half a yard, half a second behind where he needs to be a success in the Premier League. And that is the difference between success and failure. You know, that is the margin for error. Half a second, half a yard, and that's it. You know, you're either sort of like you're a hero or you're a zero. Real simple.
Yeah.
So bye-bye, Manuel. The next one I have, Alfie Lewis.
Yeah, do you know what, mate? It's interesting because I remember keeping an eye on this lad a few years ago, and there was people in the youth setup at West Ham saying this kid could be we think this kid's going to be a future England international. Never mind West Ham. He was really highly thought of, but it seems that Coventry has overtaken him in the pecking order. And Lewis has just gone out on loan to like Shamrock Rovers or someone in Ireland, which I was surprised at. You know what I mean? That's, you know, put him to the Championship or League One. Why have you sent him out to Ireland? You know, that's like, it's not a particularly good level, I would imagine. So, you know, I think he's still one for the future to keep an eye on. So put him in that category.
Yeah. So where's he going there, Sobin? I lost you there.
What, one for the future, Rob?
One for the future. So he is there. Right. Moving along to the next one on the list, we have, again, not technically our player right now. We're just borrowing him. Manchester United's Jesse Lingard.
Well,
are you signing him?
Oh, absolutely.
Or has he been a disappointment to you?
Well, I'll tell you what, mate. If I said he'd been a disappointment, I must be a very hard person to please, because he's come in, he's hit the ground running, he looks hungry, he looks fit, he's scoring goals, he's making assists. Absolutely, I want to sign him, and I want him to be long term. You know, 3+ seasons.
So he is going in the long-term future category.
I think, unfortunately, it's a double-edged sword. He's doing so well that I think every good game he plays there's probably a couple of extra £1 million goes on his price tag. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing. I think when he came in, I think people were talking about possibly the price tag being a 10, 12 million sort of range, maybe 15 million at the top end. And now it seems that Manchester United have said 20 million.
Yeah, which does seem a little bit steep. Well, on the basis that I think he's out of contract next season anyway.
Yes. Yeah, that's the thing. But then could you get, on the basis of the games that we've seen, I think he's played 5 games for us, on the basis of what he's produced in those 5 games, a player of that quality, if we went out in the summer and tried to get a player of comparable quality for 20 million quid, could we do it?
Probably not, mate. So yeah, you know, if they want 20 million, there'll be someone else willing to pay it. So I think if that's what they want, I'd give them it.
Yeah, I think it's value for money. I think even at 20 million, personally, yes, it would have been a better signing. You know, if we could have got him for 10 million quid in the summer, and you know, there's still obviously negotiations to be done, I'm sure. But the fact that obviously he's put that thing on, was it Instagram, of him and his daughter in the West Ham shirts, and he seems to have really bought into the ethos of the club, the sort of like the DNA, the structure of the club. For me, we're certainly, although we haven't got the option to buy in the loan deal, I certainly think that he's got his feet under the table, and all things being well, I think we're in the box seat.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, I think that it helps that he's worked with Moyes before. Him and Rice seem to be pally from the England setup.
Yeah.
And again, he's bringing a winning mentality to the club. You know, he's scored the winner in the FA Cup final, and you know, I'd like to think that's a statement of where we want to be heading by buying players that are used to winning things.
Absolutely, absolutely. Next on the hit list, Manny Longello.
I've seen a few clips of him at reserve and youth team level, and he looks quite an athletic left back with a good left peg. So yeah, he's one for the future, mate. So stick him in that category.
Yeah, absolutely. Job done. He's in the Star of Tomorrow future category with the others. So, David Martin.
David Martin. Well, look, he's third choice goalie. It's
Is
one
he?
of them.
I don't know. Well, it's one of those. He's either third or possibly even fourth choice.
Yeah, I know. With Trott and Trott
Yeah.
being around. So listen, mate. The nostalgia of having Alvin Martin's son in the squad is great. Yeah. And to be honest,
fairy story,
Rob,
isn't it? The Chelsea
it's a
game is a
fairy
fairy
tale.
story.
I would keep him. I would keep him for another season or two. And the reason I say that is you don't. Nathan Trott is not going to cut his teeth by sitting on the bench. So I think Trott needs a loan out. And on that basis, that's why I would keep Martin in the squad. And I think he'd be fairly happy to be there as third choice goalie.
Maybe even again getting him some sort of role as a goalkeeper coach somewhere in the club, if not with the first team, maybe one of the academy teams. Who knows? I think he'd be very happy with that personally.
Yeah.
So, okay. So moving along a pace, the next one on the list is Arthur Masuwaku.
Masuwaku. Well, look, the thing is with Masuwaku, he's not a left back. He's a liability. He's a liability at left back. Yeah. So the experiment of keep trying to put him there, I think that's over. Right? He's either a left wing back or a left winger. You know, he's got a good ball. He's got a good cross. He's quick. So I'd say long term future. To be honest, I like Masuwaku. Keep him on board long term.
Fair enough, no problem. I shall do that momentarily. In he goes. Just to bring that up to the viewers at home. Here we go. There is he, Arthur Masuwaku, in the long-term future pile. So, moving on. Now, this is where I'm going to slightly change direction. And again, you'll find out why at the end, dear viewers. So I'm going to go this way now. Andre Yamalenko.
Do you know what? I've got to get rid of him. You know, I think he's injury prone. He does show glimpses of things every now and then, but I just don't think he offers enough on a consistent basis. And I think if you could nick a few quid for him in the summer, going back to somewhere in Europe, then I would do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's the most
reinvest money in the wages.
Yeah, I mean, I believe he is the most highly paid player at the club. He's on, I believe, 100K a week. He turns 32 in October, and he's virtually always injured. You know, it's kind of like Jack Wilshere all over again, I think.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's not really deserving of being the highest paid player. It's not his fault that we've given him that. You know what I mean? No. So he'll take it, and he's never, you know, I don't think he's ever let us down. I think he seems a decent pro, but I just don't think he's not. You know, I think it's time for him to move on in the summer.
Yeah, I think I'd be inclined to agree with you. I don't know too many people that would not agree, or at the very least understand your thinking. Next one, Nathan Trott.
Nathan Trott. I can't really claim to have seen him play much. And what I find quite odd is that I think it was last season he was on loan at AFC Wimbledon and was playing a lot. And you thought, right, he comes back, he then gets a loan out in the Championship at a more, to cut his teeth at a higher level.
Made sense, yeah.
It would make sense, but then he's not done anything. So it's like, well, what's all that about? Like at the very least, getting back out on loan in League One if there's no Championship clubs that want him. So, listen, goalies develop at a later age. So I think he's still one for the future that could come good. So yeah, put him in that category, Robbo.
Into the Star of Tomorrow.
Star of Tomorrow, yeah.
Okay, no problem. So again, just for the dear viewer at home, there is Nathan Trott in the pile of Stars of Tomorrow. So next one on the hit list, we have the potato salad king himself, Thomas Sochek.
Oh mate, well, what can you say about this bloke? I mean, he's determinated,
isn't he?
That's what.
Do you know what? I said that. I said he's not human. He's a T800 sent back in time to save us.
Well, mate, he outruns everyone. He wins more headers than anyone. Don't get me wrong. He's not the silkiest central midfielder in terms of passing that you've ever seen. But absolutely, Rob. There's someone at the door. I've just got to go. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Right, so whilst we've got a little bit of dead time, I'm going to do my usual. Again, make no apologies for this, guys. For anyone that's just joining us, Isla's Army, I'm just going to give the shout out to. You've got the PayPal account there. You've got the account page, whatever. I'm in my mid-40s. What do you do? I sometimes get the terminology wrong. You've got the Just Giving page there as well. If you don't know, Isla Caton, she is a 6-year-old girl who is fighting for her very life. If you've got any spare money that you can put into the tin, this young lady needs urgent medical assistance that is not available in this country. Shockingly enough, for the 5th highest economy in the country, in the world rather, we can't give her the treatment that she needs to prolong and save her life. So if you can donate, please do so via the pages below, or at the very least share them to all and sundry in your address book, on social media, whatever, to raise the awareness. I thank you very much indeed for listening. Okay, so Ben, are you ready to go again, my friend?
I am indeed, Rob. I'm probably going to have to rattle through this a bit quicker.
Okay, no problem. No problem.
Obviously, family duties.
Next. Absolutely. Right, we're getting sort of like to the nitty gritty. We've got Zande Silva.
Well, he's out on loan in Greece, I think, isn't he?
He is out on loan, to the best of my knowledge, in Greece with Aris Thessaloniki. And I apologise to any Greek viewers who I've just insulted with my poor pronunciation.
I don't know, mate. Yeah, to be honest, it'd probably park him in the not sure category. I've not seen enough of him, but I don't want to write him off just yet. So I'm on the fence for Zonde.
So there you go. So there is one that went in the not sure pile. That's your first. There you go. But I think other than that, you've been fairly decisive. So I've got to let you off there. That's not a problem. Next one on the list. This guy's got to go out the door, hasn't he? Declan Rice. He's been rubbish this season. Absolutely awful. Couldn't pass for toffee. It's ridiculous.
Well, I'll tell you what, mate. I'm not letting him out the door. I'll barricade the door so he never walks out of it. This lad is. I'm going to say this, right? He's the best player I've ever seen in a West Ham shirt.
Wow, that is high praise.
It is, mate. I've for a lad at 21 years old to be doing what he's doing as captain in a Premier League, in central midfield. I mean, that's the most key part of the engine room of the team. He's an England regular. You know, we have got to do everything we can, and I think we are, you know, to keep him. He's on a fairly long contract. He's the captain now, and he is seeing us compete at the highest level. So, providing we can match his ambitions, we build our team around Declan. And I mean, I was never fortunate enough to ever watch Bobby Moore, but from what I've heard and what I've seen in clips, Declan Rice looks like Bobby Moore. I know they play in a different position, but just the way he tackles and then passes, you know, he's just such a classy operator, and I just love watching him in a West Ham shirt. So he's absolutely number one. Build your team around long-term future.
And you mentioned Bobby Moore, and obviously I'm not old enough to have seen him play. No, I really ain't, Ben. You know how old I am. I'm not that old. But no, I mean, I've obviously seen, same as you, I've seen clips of Bobby Moore playing for West Ham, playing for England. I have actually seen him play for Fulham as well, on clips. But yeah, I mean, Bobby Moore was never blessed with pace. Neither is Declan Rice. Bobby Moore could read the game, you know, absolutely perfectly. And for me, so can Declan Rice. So there are similarities there, as well as the fact that both of them have been captain of West Ham. So yeah, absolutely top of the tree, mate. Absolutely agree with you 100%.
Look, I watch more West Ham than any other team, right? But I don't, you know, I'm talking about people who think I'm going over the top here, but I'm looking around in world football and I'm thinking, who's a better 21-year-old central midfielder than Declan Rice? And I can't really think of anyone, you know what I mean? So,
well, I said it to someone. I turned around and said, name me a midfield that he doesn't walk into in world football and he doesn't fundamentally improve. And I tell you what, it's a real short list and it's getting shorter by the match.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. There's some real top teams out there, but I think he's a top talent. And I never even want to think about him going to another club because
no.
Do you get what I'm saying? You know, all the while that we're matching his ambitions and fighting it out at the top of the league and bringing in quality players, why, you know, we need to be saying to him, Deck, you can achieve your ambitions with West Ham. And if your ambitions are challenging for the title, then if you give us a steady period under David Moyes and a bit of investment, why can't we? We you know, who would have said a year ago that we'd be fighting out for Champions League? But we are.
Absolutely incredible, isn't it?
Yeah. So Rice is number one.
Yeah, I agree. We move on to a player who once upon a time was possibly number one there or thereabouts, but that ship has set sail, and I come to Winston Reed.
Ah, mate, what a great servant to the club. But
100%.
It would seem that, you know, he's out on loan at Brentford, so he's still got it. He's still got it at a decent level. But it would seem that Moyes, you know, there's quite a few people ahead of him in the pecking order. So what I would like to do, mate, if we can, is keep him. Try and give him a testimonial of some description just to thank him for his efforts, and then most likely move on.
So are you putting him in the 1 or 2 seasons category or senior?
No, I think he's in the senior category, but I would like to try and, you know, do a little testimonial game to thank him for all his, and, you know, for us fans to give him one final goodbye. It would be a shame that he doesn't get that opportunity for us to show him how much we think of him.
Yeah, I mean, you know, testimonials are normally given to players that have been 10 years service. Well, he signed in 2010, so
Yeah.
I think a testimonial he absolutely should get. And I know there will be people that will say, oh, we had a lot of time out injured and this, that, and the other. He didn't ask to get injured.
Mate, look, he's stuck around. You know, he's been with us when we've been relegated, promoted. Yeah. He scored that last goal at Upton Park. You know, he's given us some great memories.
Scored against Millwall, scored against Tottenham as well.
Yeah.
Does it get much better?
No.
So I agree.
We'll move him on, but give him a testimonial.
Yeah. So, would you give this fella a testimonial, although he hasn't been with us 10 years? So, Darren Randolph.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because he's number 2. He's obviously happy being number 2 because he come back to us.
Yeah.
From playing every week in the Championship, and he come back when he knew he wouldn't be ahead of Fabianski. So, I think in terms of number 2s in the Premier League, you're probably not going to get that much better in terms of someone who's happy to sit on the bench most weeks. So, yeah, I'd say 1 or 2 seasons.
Yeah. Okay. I shall stick him in 1 to 2 seasons. So you've got both of the goalkeepers in there, Ben. You've got David Martin, and actually, no, you've got, tell a lie, you've got all 3. The number 1, number 2, and the number 3/4 goalkeeper in the 1 or 2 season pile. Interesting.
Yeah, but strictly because, Rob, you know, they're all at an age where you can't really build your future around them.
No.
But I think they're all still performing at quite a decent level. So I think, you know, like I said, unless we can nick like Sam Johnston or Areola in the summer, in which case, if we did, I'd probably get rid of Randolph.
Yep.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So it all depends on what our plans are in the summer.
Okay. Next one, we've got 3 left to go through. Angelo Ogbonna.
Oh, mate, Ogbonna. He's like a fine wine. He's getting better every year with age and experience. Yeah. You know, a season or maybe 2 to 3 seasons ago, he always looked to me to have a lapse of concentration and a bit of an error in his game.
Yep.
He's cut that out. I mean, last season he was really consistent. This season, really consistent. And he's number 1 centre-half straight away in terms of picking the team. So I still think I don't know how old Ogbonna is, Robbie. Was he 30 or a little bit older?
I believe he is 32.
Oh, right. Well, look, I still...
Yes, he's 32. He turns 33 in the 23rd of May.
Well, do you know what, mate? I think I'd say 3 seasons, or I think he's got more than 2 seasons in him. So I put him in the top category with the others.
Okay.
And I think, you know, providing it's always good to have, you know, again, he's got a winning mentality. He's played for Juventus. He's an Italian international.
Yeah.
And it's always good to have that experience. You know, at 34, 35, you can still play top level football. So, you know, let's keep him around. He might not, you know, in a season or 2's time, he might not be number 1 choice, but he'd still be a good squad player at a minimum.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's entirely fair, Ben. So he's in your long-term future. That might surprise a lot of people, but I can completely get your thinking. No doubt about it. So, okay. So 2 players left. Adamippo Odubeko.
Obviously, we poached him off Man United, scored a lot of goals at youth level.
Yep.
He come on against Man United in the cup, and he was like a rabbit in the headlights. And we pulled him off. And he done nothing in that game, you know. So, but look, I'm not going to judge the lad on 1 performance against Man United. So I think one for the future. I'll put him out on loan.
Okay, so yeah, he's in the Star of Tomorrow pile just to show the viewers at home. There he is, occupying that space there. So we then come to the last one on the list, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is our club captain, the legend that is Mark Noble.
Well, look, you know, I've always loved Mark Noble. I've got his shirt upstairs, one of his shirts that he wore, and it's one of my prized possessions. So, but look, this season's been the first season he hasn't been one of the first names on the team sheet, and that's through no fault of his own. That's through the form of Rice and Sochek, and you know he just doesn't. He's not in our first team at the minute, but you know he'll never let you down, and he's you know I think he's still got a role to play in the first team squad.
Mm-hmm.
He's still got a role to play in first team squad. Like I said, if we get in Europe, and plus we want to be fighting it out in the cup competitions, I don't think it's time for Nobes to hang his boots up just yet. You know, and no, so I don't know what his plans are. I don't know when his contract lasts to. Is he out of contract in the summer? Is he, or
to the best of my knowledge, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, mate. I think I would, whether it, you know, I think a year's extension is probably a sensible deal for all parties, and that give him another year. You know, you've only got to look at Liverpool, Rob, and from last season to this season, we've even though I wouldn't say we've been lucky with injuries, we've still got a fair few injuries, but not in that area of the pitch. Now, if anything happens to Rice or Sochek, we've got to have capable understudies, and Noble definitely is one. That is potentially an area that I would strengthen in the summer. In central midfield, but I still think Nobes has got a part to play in the squad and at the club after his playing career finishes. I'd like to think we could mould him into a coach, or you know, one of the youth team managers, and who knows, maybe a manager of the team in the future, because you know this club is part of him.
Yeah. So what we're saying, 1 or 2 seasons in that pile?
Yeah, 1 or 2 seasons, Rob.
Yeah, I agree. I don't want him to retire purely for selfish reasons, because I want him to have the opportunity to say goodbye to the fans. I want the fans to have the opportunity to say thank you for the service, and whatever your life, whatever your career holds for you going forward, we wish you all the very best and thank you for your service to the club. The thought that he could end his career with no supporters in the stadium whatsoever, to me, is absolutely unthinkable. It really is, that a guy that has sorry, go on.
Rob. No, go on, mate. Finish what you said.
I was going to say, I just don't think that sits well with me. And even if we just give him a year's contract, and even if the only thing he does in that season is on the last game of that season, he's subbed onto the pitch for the last 5 minutes of the last match to sort of get a standing ovation, then so be it. However, having said that, and I said this to Baz on the recording that I did earlier on, which goes out tomorrow, that he has earned the right to make the decision on what happens next in his career. If that decision is, I'm going to carry on playing, then he gets another contract for me. If that decision is, I'm going to hang up my boots, as much as I don't like it, then that's fine. Good luck to you.
I think Moyes and the club will appreciate. I would have thought that their thoughts are exactly the same as yours, and that this servant who's served us so well deserves that opportunity. So I think he will get he'll get that opportunity to say goodbye to the fans. Rob, on that note, mate, I'm going to have to rock and roll. So
that's fine.
Thanks for having me on the show, mate, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much, Ben. And on that note, I am going to finish off. But before I wrap it up, ladies and gentlemen, my usual thing just to finish off. Isla's Army, young Isla Caton is in need of urgent medical attention. It comes very, very expensive. Her family have got to stop their lives and go off to far-flung corners of the globe to try and save this young 6-year-old girl's life. If you have a daughter, if you have a granddaughter, if you have a niece, any young relative, then I think this will resonate with you. And just think what these guys are going through at the best of times, let alone in the middle of a global pandemic. In front of you there, you've got a PayPal, you've got a Just Giving page. You can visit these. You can make such a difference, even if all you can afford is £1. This will make a difference if enough of us club together. What a difference that we could make all together. And I don't care whether you're watching this and you're a West Ham fan, a Tottenham fan, a Millwall fan, Chelsea fan, or you're not even interested in football, not even interested in sport. If you're a parent, a grandparent, an uncle, an aunt, whatever, this can obviously be something that you can look at and go, yeah, I can help. And even if you can't afford £1, even if all you can do is share this message, get it out there, raise awareness so that other people might be able to contribute. Yeah, listen, everything that you can do, guys, is much appreciated. On that note, I would like to thank you for joining me. That was my brother Ben giving his tier list. Just to run you through it quickly, he had in his tier list the long-term futures of 3+ seasons for Saeed Benrahma, Jared Bowen, Vladimir Soufal, Connor Coventry, Pablo Fornals, Craig Dawson, Ben Johnson, Jesse Lingard, Arthur Masuwaku, Thomas Sochek, Declan Rice, and Angelo Ogbonna. 1 or 2 seasons for Michael Antonio, Aaron Cresswell, Ryan Fredericks, Lucas Fabianski, Nathan Holland, David Martin, Darren Randolph, and Mark Noble. We then had Stars of Tomorrow, Aji Alese, Frederick Alves, Harrison Ashby, Alfie Lewis, Manny Longello, Jamal Baptiste, Nathan Trott, and Adamippo Odubeko. The one and only not sure was Zande Silva, and in the Sia section was Oladapo Afolayan, Tunji Akinola, Felipe Anderson, Fabian Balbuena, Gonzalo Caldo, Issa Diop, Manuel Lanzini, Andre Yamalenko, and Winston Reed. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for listening to us two wittering on for the last hour and 33 minutes plus change. It's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you for joining us. You've got the comment section below, ladies and gentlemen. Please leave your comments on the video, give it a like, that would be very much appreciated. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, and as and when Duke and I upload any new content to the channel, you will be notified. Also, you can join us at Twitter at Forge Talk, and obviously you can join us on Facebook, Forged from Iron. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. Stay safe. We've got Leeds United at London Stadium on Monday, hoping for 3 points. Back onto 4th place, hopefully, onto the Champions League. Come on, you Irons.